This is it, my new Canon EOS R3. In fact, I've got two of them, and today I want to unbox it right in front of you so that you get to see what's inside a brand new R3 box. Now up front, I'm actually filming this video on an R3 over here and a DJI Pocket 2 over there. So I've actually had this camera out and had a play with it, but I bought two, so let's have a look and see what is inside the package. Straight up, an eyepiece. It's much bigger than the 1DX Mark III, which I've been shooting with. This is a strap. Now, as you can see, it's got the gold lettering Canon. It does not have the model of the camera on it. There is an EOS R3 manual, which has a bit of information in it, but certainly not all, and one needs to go to the internet to find out the rest. Here's a little promo piece of paper. Now, inside, what do we have here? One EOS R3. The first thing you notice straight up is the weight of it. It's so light. At the moment, it hasn't got its battery in, it's got a rubber cover. Come back to the camera in a second. There's more cardboard packaging, some more cardboard packaging. Our battery charger, it's the same charger and the same battery as my 1DX Mark III. Yesterday when I unboxed the other camera, I used this for a few moments and that's all I got because it was only about 2% full, but I have got another battery here that I've gone and charged, and I will use that. Also in here we have a figure 8 cable with an Australian plug on it, and the final thing is, I think this is USB-C to USB-C. It is, and it has a little thingo, but this fits on somewhere here and stops pressure breaking something. Straight up, we'll tell you the cost of this in Australia. It's 8,300 Aussie dollars. That's about 6,006 US. If you are in the US, you'll buy it for around the same money from B&H. Germany, you'll pay 6,700 US for it, thereabouts. Japan, about 6,500. And get this, you Brits, you're getting reamed. 7,375 US dollars. That equates to about 5,500 British pounds. Now before I go too much further into this, I want to put a lens on this, and I've actually bought a Canon 15 to 35mm lens. So let me unbox that for you. There is a warranty card. There is a little bag for the lens. You know what? I've never ever used that. There's an instruction sheet. There's some more cardboard in here and some foam. There's a lens hood, and then there's a lens. This is the 15 to 35mm lens. I've been using for the last few years this 16 to 35, which is on the camera that I'm using right now. Now you'd think 16 to 35, 15 to 35, it's 1mm difference. But look at the difference it makes. It's just that little bit wider and very handy when it comes to shooting tight stuff in the paddock at f1. Lens is beautiful to touch. It's got a zoom ring here. This ring is your focus ring, and then at the front it has another ring. You can set this ring to do a number of different things, and you do that in the menu in the camera. I'll set this to change ISO. A couple of things you'll want to be aware of. It's got image stabilization. Fantastic, especially when you're walking as I do and shooting. That comes in very handy. And also the cap on the rear here is peculiar to these lenses. I can't use this cap on any of my old lenses. Now that's a bit of a pain in the bum because I lose these things all the time. I'll be getting a few more of those. So straight away I'm going to stick this lens on my new camera, and we can go through a whole lot of things on this camera that I think you're going to be most interested in. It takes two cards. It takes a CF Express and it takes an SD card. The CF Express cards are very expensive. I think I paid about $700 or $800 for maybe a 512 gigabyte card. I only need one of them here, and the 1DX Mark III you need two. The SD card is much cheaper, so what I will do is shoot raw images on the CF Express card, and on the SD card I will just shoot JPEG. So in a typical weekend, let's say I shoot 8,000 images on this camera, 8 on the other one, I will not take out the SD card the whole weekend. That'll sit in there, and at the end of the weekend I'll have every single photo I've taken on JPEG, and then I upload them to my server in Perth, and it means that if I ever need a photo years to come down the track, I've got it. The other card is my RAW card, and I'll take those photos off the card in the media center, and I will probably end up over the weekend, if I've shot 16,000 photos, I'll end up with about 1,400 that I keep. A couple of things. There's a little rubber cover on the top here that exposes your hot shoe, which does a whole lot more than a standard hot shoe. However, this I fear for, because I will lose these, so I'm getting more of those. Without this on there, the camera is not really that water resistant. I'm not sure whether it's ever waterproof, but certainly the 1DX in light rain you can get away with it, and I hope this one is the same too. And to that end, I've purchased some think tank covers, but unfortunately they don't have the eyepiece adapter for this camera yet. So as it stands, if it rains in those first few races this year, I'm not going to have any real wet weather gear to use. Why did I buy this camera? Let me be 100% clear. This 1DX Mark III is fantastic, but it's heavy. And the difference is notable when you take them out of the box. What is the difference in weight? Well, I got out my kitchen scales here and I put both the cameras on there. And as you can see, the 1DX Mark III is 1,439 grams without a lens or without any memory cards. There is a battery in there. The EOS R3, just over 1,000 grams. So that's a sizable saving in weight. And what about when you put the lenses on? Here's the Mark III with the 16 to 35mm lens, 2,262 grams, and the much lighter R3 with the 15 to 35mm lens, 1,847 grams. A sizable saving. That's on that one camera. There will also be a similar saving in weight on my second camera when I get the 70 to 200 lens. So why did I go with this camera? Well, one of the reasons is this, the flip out screen. If I want to shoot low, I can put this on the ground and I can look down, see what the sensor sees in the screen here. I love it. I've shot with the 1DX Mark IIIs for a couple of years now, and I was speaking with my good friend Mark Thompson in the paddock, who was one of the leading shooters of Formula One. He works for Getty, and he had one the last few races, and he just said, get it. You won't look back, just get it. Another advantage of this camera is when I take a photo, yes, it will play it back on the screen, but it also shows the photo on the digital display in the eyepiece. On a bright day, that's invaluable, being able to see the image without any external light. The R3 is a mirrorless camera. What is a mirror, for those of you who don't know? That's a mirror. See all that movement in there? And that's a heck of a lot of up and down, wear and tear on this camera. And when you ever sell a camera like this, people will say, what's the shutter count? If it's at the top end, the value of your camera goes down. Now, there is no shutter. If you shoot in electronic mode here, you'll get 30 frames a second. At best on my old camera, 14. In mechanical mode, I'll get 12. This is mechanical mode. That's the shutter noise. You can turn that off. In electronic mode, there is no noise. And sometimes when I'm shooting that mode, I think, am I taking any photos? And then you look back at the playback and yeah, you're getting 30 odd a second. Photographers will know when you want to shoot more than a 30-second exposure, you need a separate device to shoot what they call bulb. You can have the shutter open for 2 minutes by just programming it in. And I love the fact that I don't have to take around an extra piece of equipment. It also has interval timing. How would I use that? Well, let's say I want to shoot wide the start of a race. And on my other lens, which I hand hold, I'm probably shooting quite tight. This I can set up using a little clamp. When the cars leave the start line, I press the start button and I program it to take one photo every second. Now you'll only get 99 shots. Well, that's actually not true. I'm just mucking around here with a camera. Just discovered you can get unlimited. That's good news. What this camera doesn't have, and the 1DX Mark III does have, is a socket for connecting a wireless transfer unit. One of these little things here, which are about 1,200 Australian dollars. Now what this does is allows me, using this camera, to send images via the internet, via a dongle in my pocket back to my websites in Australia, and then back to a Dropbox to me. I needed 2 of those, 2,400 Aussie dollars. I don't need one with these cameras because this is inbuilt. That is a tremendous plus. Let's talk autofocus, because it is fantastic on this camera. However, I am struggling with the setup of it because there are a couple of different ways that you can use the autofocus. One is by the camera reading your eye. It calibrates where you're looking on the screen, and then magically the camera will focus on whatever your eye looks at. Now I can't get it to work, but what I love about this is once I set the focus on someone's face, I can move the camera, reposition the shot, and it rarely loses focus on that person's face. That's great for driver arrivals, where you can recompose your shot without having to play around on the back here with the joystick. This camera has two ways of moving that focus dot. One is this joystick here, and I've worn a couple of those out, or this little button up the top here, which allows me to run my finger over it. It's like a touchpad. I think though that Canon has overlooked something. I want to be able to take a photo when I'm perhaps down on the ground by pressing the screen. Now it will work, it will take one shot, but it won't take 50, it won't take a burst of them. And when a driver is walking towards me, or a car's coming towards me and I'm perhaps very low shooting through the Armco at the track, I would like to be able to hold my finger on it and it takes a burst of shots. So please Canon, work on a software change, because I don't think that would be too difficult to do. Do all of my old lenses now work with the new camera? Yes, but you need one of these. EF EOS R adapter ring. It allows me to use any of my old lenses with this new camera. And as you may be able to see here, I put small pieces of gaffer tape on the contact spots when I put my cameras down, because I don't want the paint getting scratched, and far better you stick a bit of gaffer on there and let that wear out and change that. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 7 or 8 spots. So that will be done with these cameras, along with putting on my stickers on the back here, so that when I lose them, as I invariably do, someone will find that sticker and go, oh, let's get on to Kim and give him back his camera. And I've lost some interesting stuff over the years, and most of the time I've got it back. I'm pretty excited to go shooting with this in Bahrain for testing and then for the race. I'll certainly struggle with it for the first couple of days. I won't get every shot that I go for, but I think if I can have a chat with some guys who are using it and ask how they're setting it up, it may well help me with my setup. If you're asking me what the three main things are about this camera that I love, it's the 30 frames a second, it's the weight, and strangely enough, it's the interval timer. If you found this interesting, I'm going to ask you a favour now, hit the like button. It's so simple. Subscribe if you have not done so, and if you're not a member, join as a member. You get a whole host of extras for free, including raw images after each race and regular JPEG wallpapers. You'll find all of my digital images available at prostarpics.com. If you'd like to order a canvas print, or you want to pick up one of my F1 photo books or some merchandise, you'll find it all at kimillman.com. And when you're there, take a look around the new site, because it is amazing. It has details of every race this year, along with a driver profile page for each driver. You'll find my, oh no, what is that I have to say? My best images live from the track, and all during the week, head to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Hey, thanks for watching, and stay passionate. Where's my phone? Come on, phone.